far is a society willing to go to obtain wealth? I'm Elaine Reyes in Washington, D.C., and this is America's Now. It's a mountain whose riches helped finance an empire.
Cooperativismo no se practica.
Cooperativism isn't practiced here. It's only the bosses who share the profits. The people who work in the mines are simple laborers. They're virtually slaves with no insurance or benefits.
No se practica.
And whose tunnels took countless lives.
I feel helplessness and rage, so much rage, because that's how we lost our husbands. And because of the need to work, our children go back down the mine. There's no other way.
More than 4,800 meters, the air is pretty thin.
Correspondent Dan Collins travels to Bolivia's Cerro Rico. He meets the miners who continue to risk disease and death today. Then a school in Colombia that floats.
During the dry season, it is on the ground, and when it floods, it rises. It is a temporary one.
An inventive idea from a game-changing graduate.
In the
next year, we want to create 10 more schools in this area, and we are thinking maybe we can aim to build the first 50 floating houses in the country.
Her sustainable innovation could help save a flood-prone nation. Welcome to the show. It was the mountain that underwrote Spain's colonial empire. It even paid for its nearly invincible fleet of ships, the Spanish Armada, and even helped fund the European Renaissance. The Cerro Rico, or Rich Hill, produced an estimated 2 billion ounces of silver. The city beneath it is Potosi. It became the world's largest industrial complex in the 16th century. In 1987, UNESCO made it a World Heritage Site, but it has now placed it on the endangered list. The reason? Uncontrolled mining operations. Correspondent Dan Collins visited the Cerro Rico and the town of Potosi to investigate why this prominent peak puts so many in peril.
As imposing as it is historic, the Cerro Rico's almost perfectly conical shape is on Bolivia's banknotes and its national crest. Its vast riches passed through this Spanish mint, today a tourist attraction in Potosi, and made Spain one of the richest and most powerful nations in Europe at its time. The legacy that left Bolivia is far more contentious. Hundreds of thousands, some historians say millions, of men died mining here, the mountain that eats men. Scaling it, you can still see the mine faces, some hundreds of years old. At more than 4,800 meters, the air is pretty thin. I'm really starting to feel the climb to the summit. And nearly 5 centuries on, mining has taken its toll on the mountain too.
Yo me acuerdo hace 4 o 5 años que yo nací, las espisuras son las espisuras así, y está yendo abriéndose como grietas, ¿no? No solamente en este lugar, en todo alrededor del cerro, ¿no?
You have to go up the summit to see the impact. On something as solid as a mountain, it's quite a shock to see a hole in the top of it.
Está cayendo, me da miedo a mí. Yo sabía llegar, ahora me da pena. Si me da pena, no sé qué vamos a hacer. Es un monumento patrimonial y por eso tenemos que dejar de trabajar. Tenemos que irnos a otra parte, no buscar otro trabajo, o tal vez minería, pero en otra parte, no al cerro. Al cerro queremos preservar.
It's a hole that engineers are desperately trying to plug. The Bolivian government has pumped $2.5 million into trying to save the collapsed cone. The crater opened up in 2011, and despite it being prohibited, miners continue to work above 4,400 meters near the summit. This old colonial mine is full of toxic gas, and you can smell it coming out of the mine face. The mining engineers before went inside, exploded dynamite, as a way of trying to stop the hole in the top of the mountain from getting any bigger. The idea is also to stop miners from working inside and weakening the fragile peak further. Mining here is not just in the past, says the state mining company Comebol. It's a present threat to the mountain.
El problema, le digo que es social, porque de pronto es dejarles sin fuente de trabajo, ¿no? Es paralizarles y votarles, entonces quedan sin trabajo. Eso la política del gobierno no permite.
Around 15,000 miners working in cooperatives still tap into veins of tin, zinc and silver in the Cerro Rico. At dawn, they're eating a hearty meal ahead of a day underground. Kevin Takure tells me he's been doing this work for 4 years. He's just 17. Alvaro Laime is only 14.
Es duro, es muy difícil. Los riesgos principales son, casi la mayoría son uno que caiga al cuadro, los derrumbes y, por ejemplo, la dinamita.
Another youngster, Dario, is 15 and has been mining since he was 11 years old. He can earn as much as $300 a week, almost double Bolivia's monthly minimum wage, he tells me. The money may be good, but his small frame and persistent cough tell a different story. As swift as he is young, we soon lose sight of him underground. We've just come down 8 flights of these stairs and we're only at level 1. There's 16 more levels to go to get to where most of the miners are working, more than a kilometre beneath us. Deep inside one of the myriad tunnels, we find these miners taking a break. Chewing a wad of coca leaves, Jorge seems unconcerned that the mountain might collapse.
Aquí estás a tu suerte. Mueres, nadie no te da nada.
His father was killed in an accident in this very tunnel, he tells me. Apart from the air pumped in from outside and some power tools, working conditions have changed little since the colonial era.
Yo quisiera que el Estado vele, ¿no? Si digamos, no hagan ser proyectos grandes para que nosotros también podamos trabajar como se merece, con tecnología de punta. Estamos prestos para trabajar, pero si se olvidan todos y nosotros también a nuestro criterio, si se puede con diente o con piedra, nos sacamos el mineral.
He and thousands of other miners work in slavish and dangerous conditions, chipping away at veins of tin or silver using dynamite to blow it to pieces, then pushing it out in these carts so the metal can be chemically extracted. It's amazing to think that there's thousands of tunnels like this in the Cerro Rico and maybe tens of thousands of miners still working these tunnels after hundreds of years. It may no longer be the Cerro Rico or rich hill of times past, but it's still giving up its minerals. So who benefits? Not the miners, says local leader Johnny Lally. The mining cooperatives are not as egalitarian as the name suggests, he says.
El cooperativismo no se practica. El cooperativismo es muy distinto, donde todos ganamos y todos por igual nos repartimos. Todo lo que es los bienes es de todos nosotros, todos le damos utilidad. No se practica aquí, simplemente beneficia al patrón. Cooperativismo no hay parte patronal y esclavitud. Esa gente que trabaja es peón. Peón es como el esclavo, no tiene seguro en dejar, no tiene beneficios sociales.
A recent attempt to pass a law to reform the mining sector was repelled by miners with road blockades and massive protest. Thousands of cooperative miners across the country took to the streets. The tally was 4 dead, more than 100 wounded and substantial economic damages. The government announced that the proposed law would be scrapped and renegotiated. Bolivia's powerful cooperative sector generates around 88% of mining employment. It also accounted for 48% of Bolivia's 3.7 billion mineral exports last year. It's proved a key ally for President Evo Morales in an election year. I asked the head of the Cooperatives Federation in Potosí what he was doing to improve the often deadly working conditions.
Desde la colonia, que tal vez se puede decir que algunas otras cooperativas seguimos trabajando artesanalmente. Como le indico, no hay, digamos, esa inyección económica, una ayuda para poder superarse, mecanizar nuestro trabajo.
Surely it's the cooperative's responsibility to keep its working conditions up to date, I said.
No es tanto, digamos, la utilidad de lo que concibe, ¿no?, el sector cooperativista. No es, digamos, tan como se maneja, digamos, que hay una ganancia, que existe una gran utilidad. O sea, la extracción mismo, la disposición en la parte, en la extracción de mineral, o sea, es sumamente muy alto, digamos, a los que se invierten en la minería.
In this mining town, there's few alternatives, and despite its mineral riches, Potosí is one of Bolivia's poorest regions. The mountain continues to make wives into widows, like Vilma Minacho, and turn children into orphans. Minacho's husband, Miguel Soto, died a decade ago, aged just 34. He was suffering from the miner's biggest killer, the incurable lung disease, silicosis. She and her 2 teenage sons share this one room. Crippled by debts for her husband's hospital treatment, she works as a miner's cook by day and a mine guard by night. But she told me what hurt most is that in losing a husband, she fears she may also lose her eldest son.
Impotencia y rabia, mucha rabia, porque de esta manera es que hemos perdido a nuestros esposos y que vuelvan por motivo de trabajo, que no hay para nuestros hijos otra manera de trabajar.
It's a vicious circle, Paulina Garabito tells CCTV. She heads Musol, an organization that works with miners' widows and their families.
La mayoría de los niños que trabajan en las minas, una de las causas principales es que son huérfanos de padre. Y otro es que son de familias de muy escasos recursos económicos, generalmente familias pobres, donde necesariamente tienen que salir a trabajar porque, bueno, es la madre nomás la que solventa, son mujeres abandonadas también, ¿no?
Up-to-date and firm statistics are hard to come by, but Garabito's organization estimates there are 4 fatal mining accidents per month. At silicosis, the disease known here as mal de la mina, and she says every month there are, on average, new widows in Potosí. Just glancing through the police statistics for mining accidents, for example here, 2010, 22 deaths, most of them caused by inhaling toxic gases, others by electrocution, and also severe traumas caused by mining explosions. The most shocking thing, though, is the age of the miners. Most of them are in their 20s and 30s, and some are as young as 17. To forge change, local women have begun to organise. Most of them are widows of miners. They say they're coming together to try to pull their family and put their children in school.
Nosotros no hemos estudiado por falta de económico, tal vez por falta de concientización, ¿no? Antes no sabían muy bien como nosotros, nuestros papás, ahora se ha cambiado ya por necesidad, más que todo, la necesidad nos obliga para aprender, para estudiar, ¿no?
Today, children can get scholarships to keep them out of the mines and in the classroom, and micro-loans are available to women. Government officials concede, however, that there are more deep-seated issues that will take longer to resolve.
Es un tanto la inconsciencia social de los mismos padres de familia en algunos casos, y también es la cultura, donde de un proceso de aprendizaje pasa a una relación de, digamos, ya de explotación infantil, ¿no?
The Cerro Rico does not contain the riches it once did, but it continues to cast a spell over thousands of men. Some make fortunes, but for those who go underground, they're lucky if they live long enough to give their children a better future.
There are as many as 20,000 tunnels within the Cerro Rico, and although mining conditions are poor, the mountain employs up to 15,000 workers. Potosí is one of the highest elevated cities in the world at over 4,000 meters above sea level.
Coming up.
A woman trying to save her city from being submerged.
En el próximo año queremos realizar.
In the next year, we want to create 10 more schools in this area, and we are thinking maybe we can aim to build the first 50 floating houses in the country.
Y estamos pensando.
America's Next.
Welcome back. In the winter season of 2010 and 2011, Colombians experienced firsthand the devastating effects that torrential rains can cause. Destructive downpours triggered landslides, mass floods, and killed over 350 people. 2 million people were displaced, and $6 billion in damage was done. Many attribute these heavy recurring rains to climate change and believe they'll continue to deluge Colombia for future seasons to come. But a young engineer came up with an innovative idea that may help prevent her community from being washed away. Her solution is to build houses that float. She started with a building that serves the community, a schoolhouse. For our game changer this week, we present to you Lina Cataño.
Hemos sufrido esta calamidad hace varios años. Durante el transcurso del año 2 veces se inunda todo este sitio acá, y principalmente la escuela, en el mes de mayo y en el mes de octubre.
Porque aquí hay déficit de infraestructura para la educación.
Porque pensábamos que nuestro pueblo iba a desaparecer. ¿Por qué? Porque no habíamos visto una inundación igualmente que nos había tocado de salir de nuestras casas.
Mi nombre es Lina Marcela Cataño Bedoya, tengo 28 años y mi misión es hacer soluciones habitacionales flotantes para adaptación a cambio climático.
Cuando ya el agua entre, poco a poco ella va a ir alzando y hasta que el agua ya entre toda por completo, ya comienza a flotar.
Las aulas flotantes tienen un sistema muy sencillo de funcionar. Básicamente no podemos meterle, digamos, grandes mecanismos a este sistema de flotación porque entonces no sería viable económicamente. Eso entonces implica que desde la ingeniería hayamos hecho una propuesta de una losa flotante en cemento. Esta losa flotante está asentada sobre unas vigas de cimentación. Esto lo que hace es garantizar que la plataforma siempre, antes y después de una inundación, permanezca completamente horizontal.
Que está en temporada seca, apoyado sobre tierra, y cuando llega la inundación se levantan con la inundación. Es una solución de manera permanente, no son soluciones temporales.
¿Cuántas unidades me forma una decena? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Cuando se inundaba la escuela, tenían que parar las aulas durante 2 veces al año. Y tenían que recibir clases en lugares donde no era adecuado para recibir clases, que es en los bares, en los billares del pueblo.
Cuando la inundación llegaba ahí al colegio, lo teníamos que trasladar a otras partes.
Chicas, ustedes me dicen. Ahí. Ya 2 años hemos estado en trabajos con ellos, haciendo primero una exploración, un trabajo en comunidad, una socialización, porque nada de esto pues tiene éxito si no se cuenta con la comunidad. Agua lluvia, si es el caso de que durante la inundación también se pierda la capacidad de suministro por acometidas tradicionales y energía eléctrica.
Personajes importantes vinieron a inaugurar un par de aulas flotantes.
Para nosotros es muy importante porque se garantizan dos cosas. Primero, el empleo para la misma comunidad, así que los recursos del proyecto quedan dentro de la misma comunidad. Y segundo, se garantiza también el mantenimiento. Cuando hablamos de soluciones habitacionales flotantes no nos imaginamos solamente eso, nos imaginamos viviendas flotantes, nos imaginamos centros educativos, centros de salud, centros deportivos. En el próximo año queremos realizar 10 colegios más acá en toda la zona de la depresión momposina y Mojana Sucreña, que es la zona norte de Colombia, y estamos pensando que tal vez podríamos apuntarle a la construcción de las primeras 50 viviendas flotantes del país. Una de las cosas más valiosas que tiene este proyecto, deja ganancias intangibles que la verdad nos motivan a seguir creyendo en lo que hacemos. El hecho de que hayamos hecho un puente de acceso a las aulas, para muchos puede que eso no tenga importancia, y más si venimos de la ciudad, pero por ejemplo acá la gente nos decía, si ustedes no hubieran hecho ese puente de acceso, nunca hubiéramos conocido qué es un puente. Entonces es interesante ver cómo obras tan simples, aunque no sean grandísimas, aunque no tengan un área muy extensa, en fin, comienzan a dar valoración también a la comunidad.
We leave you now with a sweet story. South America is well known for its ability to produce some of the world's best chocolate. One of the places responsible for giving it that reputation is located deep in the Venezuelan jungle. The village of Chuao is on the map for producing a special cocoa bean, and natives have been growing and harvesting cocoa for 400 years. We look forward to seeing you here again next week for another edition of America's Now. Thank you for watching.
Los trabajadores o los de la hacienda Choa hemos tratado y hemos mantenido la hacienda tipo como la trabajaba de toda la historia. Todo artesanal, todo algo que nos da la calidad que tenemos.